844 Studio 4. That's 844 788 3464. That's the phone number. If you want to be a part of the program, call me up and we'll chat. You know, we don't have to have too much to talk about, but if there's something on your mind, I want to know. Boy, do we have a lot to go over today. Let's see. Last night, there was a pretty big event. The NFL decided that they were going to put themselves back into the news cycle. The NFL schedule was released yesterday. And with that, we can go over the route that the Carolina Panthers are going to take this year in the NFL season. I'll tell you what, I'm not surprised. I don't want to say I'm disappointed, even though I am a little bit disappointed, but we'll start with this real quick. The Carolina Panthers, 0 primetime games this year. All their games are at either 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock, besides week number 10, where they will be playing the New York Giants out in Munich, Germany. That's an 8:30 a.m. Start time, by the way, in case you wanted to wake up and watch that one. In November 10th. And then they have a bye week directly after that. That's what the NFL, I feel like, has been doing. Anytime you go overseas and play in Europe, the week you get back is your bye week. That's what they're doing for the Giants as well after the Germany trip. But that's just one of the many things that's in the headlines today. The NFL caught some heat last night for the New York Jets having so many primetime games. It's not something that many of us expected. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well, as the NFL is trying their best to justify what they did on the schedule to the New York Jets. The NHL playoffs are continuing tonight. The Carolina Hurricanes and New York Rangers game number 6 will be in Raleigh later on tonight. You can check out that one at 7 p.m. And the NBA playoffs have been going on as well. But we are going to talk about this Carolina Hurricane New York Ranger game, 7 o'clock tonight. I know I'm going to be tuned in. Carolina Hurricanes making a run. They went down 3-0 early in the series. Here they are, 3-2. They still got to win 2 more. But they got to get a win tonight. Force game number 7 on Saturday with a win here in Raleigh. That game 7 would be out in New York at Madison Square Garden. We're also going to talk about the high school playoffs. Yes, we have lacrosse, baseball, softball, women's soccer. All of that is going on. We have been tracking it here, and we had some games that took place yesterday. We have a lot of games taking place later on today. So that is actually where we are going to start our conversation with a little bit of a notice as of earlier today. This from the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. Due to weather conditions causing delays in concluding all dual team playoff rounds for tennis in advance of the state championship matches, the North Carolina High School Athletic Association's men's dual tennis championship matches have been postponed to Monday, May 20th. The championships will still be played at the Burlington Tennis Center. Championship matches Monday will begin with the meeting of the 1A, 3A coaches at 3 a.m. The 1A, 3A matches begin at 9:30. 2A, 4A will start at 12:30. Lacrosse championships are expected to proceed as they've been scheduled. So a little bit of an update as we're in the middle of playoff season, but Mother Nature has not been very cooperative with us here lately. We have some postponements of championship games. We expect for lacrosse and track and field to continue as normal. So let's go ahead and let you know what is going on later on this weekend, especially in these championship matches. The 1-2-3A championship match for lacrosse is going to be between Orange High School and Lake Norman Charter. In the 4A bracket, Green Level High School out of the East and Lake Norman High School in Mooresville representing the West. We had some baseball games yesterday. We also have some baseball games going on today. We'll start in the 1A bracket the same way we always have with Christ the King High School, the 3 seed, just barely squeaking by Union Academy. 4-3 is the final score in this one as Christ the King walks it off in the bottom of the 7th inning. They move on to take on Uwharrie Charter, who beat Mountain Heritage 15-5 last night. One more game in the 1A bracket before we get to the 4th round of the playoffs. That's between the number 1 seed Mount Airy and the number 9 seed Thomasville. With the 2A brackets, we had some games last night as well. North Stanley beating Forbush High School 2-0 to move on to round number 4. East Rutherford beat Stanley High School, and Moorhead High School beat Randleman. That game was a 3 and a 6 that ended 1-0. 6 hits combined between the two teams in that game. So as far as the 2A bracket's concerned, and not the most amount of parity in this bracket, you have a 1 playing a 5. The 5 upset the 4. And you have a 3 playing a 2. Same thing on the other side of the bracket. You have a 3 playing a 2. But at least for the East, you're going to have a 1 and a 4 taking on each other. So that one went even more chalk than the West did. And in the 3A brackets, Central Davidson fell to East Rowan. That's the 1 seed. This was a couple of days ago with the East Rowan with a 9-0 win. Well, we know who they're going to be playing. They'll be taking on Oak Grove High School. Now, Oak Grove had a very big game last night as they beat Lake Norman Charter 4-2, the final score in this game. Game was tied going into the 5th inning, but Oak Grove was able to put 2 runs on the board, and those proved to be the 2 winning runs. And in the 4A bracket, we're still waiting for a few more games to be played. We still have Alexander Central and Marvin Ridge High School playing. West Forsyths and Reagan High School still need to play as well. We'll have the results for you on those tomorrow. On the other side of the break, we're going to get into the high school women's game. 2nd round action today. You're not going to want to miss it. You're listening to The Scoreboard. 844 Studio 4 is the phone number. We'll be back right after this.
Keep it right here. We'll have more of The Scoreboard with Joe Berg.
844 Studio 4 is the phone number. That's 844-788-3464. We're in the middle of talking about our high school women's soccer playoffs. Second round action tonight. Lots of games, not only in this area, but around the North Carolina state. There are a lot of teams, though, in this area that are having good soccer seasons, women's soccer. And we're going to go over that. Also, by the way, don't go anywhere because we still need to talk about the NHL. Carolina Hurricanes will be in action tonight. We had the NFL schedule release yesterday. We know what the Carolina Panthers schedule is. And also, I think it's time to start previewing the All-Star race for this weekend in the Cup Series. All of that coming up a little later on in the show. For now, we're going to turn our attention to the 1A Women's Soccer Championship bracket. The 1 seed Mountain Island Charter taking on number 16 Highland Tech. Now, a little bit closer to our area, you have Christ the King High School. We just talked about them having a decent baseball playoff. Well, their women's soccer team doing good as well. They're a 12 seed. They'll be taking on number 5 Swain County in the second round. In the 2A bracket, games tonight, Pine Lake Prep at 6:30 will be taking on Newton Conover. Bandy's High School against West Stanley going on tonight as well. Community School of Davidson, the 18 seed after their upset of East Rutherford, takes on number 2 Hendersonville. That game is at 7 p.m. later on tonight. And as far as any other local area schools in the 2A bracket, we don't have them. It's those 2 local schools duking it out. Everybody else is just outside of our listening area. Now, I'll tell you what's going on in these brackets as we get closer to the end of the playoffs, but I'm not going to go over every single game and every single team with you. We got to talk about who is local to us. One of those local teams in the 3A bracket is Lake Norman Charter. They are a 6 seed. They beat their opponent, North Buncombe, in round 1, which puts them through to round number 2, taking on Northwest Cabarrus High School. Game is later on tonight. All of these games are tonight. It looks like there's 1 or 2 sprinkled in for tomorrow, but the majority of them are going to be tonight. And as far as the 3A bracket, by the way, number 5 Hickory High School is still in these playoffs. They take on Ashboro High School, who beat Kings Mountain 1-0 in their first round game. And as far as those 4A schools go, number 1 Watauga is still in it immediately following the scoreboard. And I mean immediately at 6 p.m. Watauga and South Mecklenburg will be playing. Mooresville High School, the 8 seed, barely escaped Hickory Ridge 1-0 in round number 1. Now they take on Providence High School. That game later on tonight at 6. Charlotte Catholic, Ardrey-Kell, Asheville, Reagan playing each other as well. And the number 2 seed, Huff High School, taking on number 15 East Forsyth. That game later on at 7. That is the update on your high school sports. Obviously, with the playoffs going on, we're going to have a lot of information to give you every single day here. So continue to stay tuned to the scoreboard. We will have all of your local high school updates right here. Playoffs, championship games going on. Lacrosse state championships coming up very soon. So continue tuning in. We'll have all the news right here on the scoreboard. One thing that's in the news that you should know about from yesterday are the Carolina Panthers and their schedule getting released. Yeah, the schedule is out. Where are the Carolina Panthers going to go and when? Now, we already knew who their opponents were going to be. We already knew the home and away of it. We just didn't really know when. we were going to go to these places. So now we know. And to start things off, week number 1, your Carolina Panthers on the road as they head to New Orleans to take on the Saints. That game is going to be at 1 o'clock. Next week, September the 15th, they go home to take on the LA Chargers, also a 1 o'clock game. There are, like I said, no primetime games for the Carolina Panthers. Are you angry? I mean, they kind of deserved it. Worst team in the NFL. The worst team in the NFL doesn't get handed primetime games unless you're the New York Jets, ? Because the NFL is taking some heat today. If you saw the schedule release, the New York Jets landed a record number of primetime games over the first 3 months of the NFL season. Just because of Aaron Rodgers. And the NFL knows it. And they are openly saying this is why we put the Jets in so many primetime games. Mike North, the NFL's vice president of broadcast planning, said on a video conference with reporters, yes, it's an awful lot of primetime games early in the season, but obviously I feel like the Jets kind of owe us one. What? The Jets owe you one for what? You know there's flexing. You could have flexed out of the Jets having primetime games. That is something that is in the CBA now, where the NFL can say, you know what, we don't want this to be a primetime game, so we're going to put another game in here instead. It happens all the time, especially late in the season. The NFL has gone back and changed the CBA during negotiations. There's all types of stipulations and ways to do it, but you can flex. They decided not to with the Jets, and they still put them in primetime games. So how exactly do the Jets owe the NFL? Maybe donate one of those primetime games to the Panthers. Just one. We don't deserve one, but I can tell you right now, the Jets don't deserve, 6 in the first 8 weeks of the season? It's insane how many primetime games they're getting. I hope other people agree with me on this. We have a caller into the studio, so let's go ahead, bring our caller on the air. Caller, you are on the scoreboard. What do you got for me today?
Hey, Joe. Thanks for giving me some time. Love the show. Lifelong Carolina Panthers fan, and I want to go back to the conversation about no primetime games in the upcoming season.
Okay.
Like you said, we're the only team, save for that game in Germany, that's in this situation. Not a primetime game, just a standalone. And I want to know, Joe, in your honest opinion, is this on us as the fans? Is this because we as a fan base are so fickle, so willing to critique, so willing to check out of the season at the slightest inconvenience? Do you think that we, obviously a small market team, not the smallest, do you think we brought this on ourselves?
I am not about to call out Carolina Panthers fans. I'm not going to do that. But what I will say is I am sure the NFL noticed the attendance of the Panthers games, especially towards the end of last year. It wasn't
shameful.
There were a lot of takeovers, and that's not something that we are used to seeing here in Charlotte with Bank of America Stadium. It doesn't get taken over like that too often. But we did see it last year. And I'm not going to say that it is the fans' fault. I don't believe that. I do think it was part of the consideration of making the schedule. But
So we're the only team. We're the only team. What do you think is the cause then?
Well, when you have a team with as many front office issues, I think, and headaches, and everybody knows in maybe not as many words that David Tepper is the reason that the Panthers drafted Bryce Young.
Sure.
So people are upset. The fans are upset, which probably drove the ticket prices to the way that they were last year. And the NFL noticed that, and they also noticed that the Panthers had 2 wins, and they said, yeah, this isn't a team that we currently want to display to a national audience. There are other teams where I look at them and I say, man, I don't know why they're getting displayed to a national audience. Like, I'll throw, let's say, the Denver Broncos into that conversation.
Sure.
It doesn't make sense that they get primetime games when the Panthers get absolutely none. But I can understand where they're coming from.
Don't you think that the league almost has an obligation to elevate a team like the Panthers? I mean, the NFL
they're
draft
sending them to Germany.
That
they're sending them to Germany.
Who's going to watch them? Who's going to watch them in Germany in the morning?
Well, the people in Germany are.
Don't you feel like the NFL has an obligation, the same way they do with the NFL draft every year? Take the worst team, put them in position to improve. To the extent that fan support and fan attention can improve a team and help drive them to success, doesn't the National Football League have an obligation to put the Panthers on Monday Night Football
I don't
once,
think so.
maybe twice,
Look,
maybe 3
hey,
times?
I got to go to commercial. I'll talk about this on the other side of the break. Stay tuned. You're listening to The Scoreboard.
More of Sports Direct.
All right, social viewers. This is the animal hour here on The Scoreboard. This is Ember. Everybody say hi to Ember. Ember was very brave today. Ember went to the doctor and she got surgery and got spayed. So congratulations to Ember. I want everybody to wish her good luck in her recovery. She's a little groggy right now. Can't seem to figure out how to walk with a cone on. But everybody say congratulations to Ember and wish her luck. Bye. right, everyone, we are back here on the scoreboard. 844 Studio 4. That's 844-788-3464. We are currently talking about the schedule release for the NFL and the Carolina Panthers. Well, no primetime games. In case you were wondering about the New York Jets schedule. Yes, the New York Jets. Why are we talking about the New York Jets? Well, because, you know what? Let's go over it. Let's talk about this New York Jets schedule. Week number 1, Monday Night Football. Week number 3, Thursday Night Football. Week number 6, they're at 9:30. They're overseas. I'm sorry, that's week 5. They're overseas. Week 6, Monday Night Football. Week 7, Sunday Night Football. Week 9, Thursday Night Football. And week 11, Sunday Night Football. That is, if we count them together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 primetime games in the first 11 weeks of the season for the New York Jets. And your Carolina Panthers. 0. Goose egg. None. I have a problem with this quote from Mike North, the NFL Senior Vice President of Broadcast Planning. And the part of the quote that I have a problem with is, I feel like the Jets kind of owe us one. The Jets owe the NFL nothing. The Jets owe the NFL fans who are so excited to see Aaron Rodgers on a new team. They don't owe anybody anything. No, it was an injury. Injuries happen in the NFL. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that one. So why are you upset about the schedule from last year? Yeah, the Jets were in a lot of primetime games, and they weren't a good team. Who's to say Patrick Mahomes doesn't get hurt this season? And now look at how many primetime games. What if Rodgers gets hurt again? Do the Jets owe twice as much now? So are they going to have, what would that be, 12 primetime games next year? What is the point of that? What were you trying to convey to us? Because I don't get it. Maybe I'm lost. And I always say, if you think I'm lost and don't know what I'm saying, 844 Studio 4. That's 844-788-3464. Now, I don't think that the NFL should be giving the Panthers primetime games just because they were bad, like our caller was mentioning. I don't know. I get what the caller was saying with the draft and the worst team getting the best pick in the draft, but the draft is not primetime football. You don't get better for playing during primetime. Primetime football is to push the game out there and get it into the larger audience. You don't want, and this is why I'm so confused on why the Panthers are playing the Giants in Germany. Like, don't you want to send a good game out there? I mean, eventually you're going to send a Super Bowl out there, get them used to good football. You know, send the Chiefs out there. I didn't check the Chiefs schedule, but I'm sure they play the 49ers. Send the Chiefs and the 49ers out there. I just don't see the appeal of Giants, Panthers in Germany. Does the NFL think that the Giants and the Panthers owe them one? Do the Panthers owe the NFL one because Bryce Young underperformed as the number 1 pick? Is that how this is working? How do you become in debt to the NFL based on your play? I didn't know that was a thing. And I know there's people out there that probably think I'm taking this to the extreme. I don't think I am. Why in the world are you saying that a team owes you one because they were in primetime games last year and their quarterback got hurt? I don't get it. At the 49ers, September 9th, Thursday night at home against the Patriots, Monday night home against the Bills, Sunday night on the road against the Steelers, Thursday night at home against the Texans, and Sunday night at home against the Colts. Not only do they have 6 primetime games in the first 11 weeks, only 2 of those are on the road. All the other 4 are at home. But yet, the Carolina Panthers have 0 primetime games. I get it. You don't look, I understand you don't want to put the Panthers on primetime. Fine. Don't do it all that much. Put them on Thursday night. We've come to expect Thursday night football to stink anyway. At least we get to see the Panthers overseas. I don't know. Is that a positive or a negative to the fans? I don't know what the fan base thinks about that. Let me know. 844 Studio 4. Are we happy or mad that the Panthers are going to Germany? Or do we not care? I don't know if it matters, but I know it matters to some of you. So let's hear from you. 844 Studio 4. Before we get to the commercial break, let's start talking about NASCAR. The Cup Series heading to the All-Star race this weekend. Here's Chris Buescher on how the new pavement will be changing North Wilkesboro Speedway.
You're going from the absolute extreme of lack of grip to what's ultimately going to feel like infinite grip. I would say that you're going to be talking about exponentially more braking applied. You're really going to change up everything you do there. Speeds are obviously going to be way, way faster. Throttle time is going to be way more. You're going to turn it back into a horsepower war to some extent. Short track racing is not as big a deal, but you're going to be wanting it. I hope that we have enough racetrack to be able to move around and be able to make passes. I hope that the progressive banking that is in Wilkesboro that was supposed to stay in there, and if that comes in and we're able to have good racing, it's just going to be a whole lot faster this go around.
I'm a little bit concerned about North Wilkesboro this year. I'm not going to lie to you. I am a little bit concerned because it is a short track, and we've seen the short tracks in the Cup Series not perform very well in this next-gen car. I really want North Wilkesboro to be a good race because it is my hope, it's my personal hope, that one day it's not the All-Star race, it is a points-paying race. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. It's also my dream that we go back to Rockingham, but, you know, who knows? Who knows? Instead, we get to go to the Chicago Street Race. Yeah. Who's excited? Last year, the All-Star race was pretty good. This year, I'm expecting it to be a little bit better. Like you heard from Buescher, with the repave, there's going to be a lot more grip now. A lot of grip has been an enemy to this car in the past. We've seen it. We know you can't pass. We get it. But the progressive banking and the on-throttle time that's going to be needed is probably going to make up for other issues that we see in the car. And it's a bad car. I mean, you got to call it what it is. It's a road course car that they decided to put on ovals. And if you don't believe me, this is straight out of NASCAR's mouth. They said they want their car to work good on road courses. So they built a road course car, and they said, okay, just put it on the ovals. And this is what we have. Now, there's changes, like very, very slight changes here and there, but for the most part, that's what we have. Sure, it generated the greatest finish in NASCAR history, but you know, it was a green-white checkered 3 to go when they took the green there. Any car could have done that in 2 laps. It just happened to be a Gen 4 or a Gen 7 next-gen race at Kansas. We're going to move on from NASCAR. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. When we return, we got to preview the Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Rangers game number 6. We're back after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
We'll stay dry tonight as temperatures under a mostly clear sky dip down to around 60. Some outlying spots around the farms and lake may even see upper 50s by Friday morning. Most of our daytime will be dry. Clouds on the increase, though, and by Friday evening, we'll have to keep an eye out for an isolated shower or pop-up thunderstorm. Heading into the weekend, it'll start soggy with rain on Saturday into Sunday, but will dry out Sunday evening. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. This Friday and Saturday, the Thumb Pickers Convention is happening in Statesville. The Iredell Arts Council welcomes Eddie Pennington, Parker Hastings, Caleb Coots, and others. On Friday, the doors open at 5.
Joe Berg continues now on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, welcome. You're listening to the Scoreboard. Not great. That being the Carolina Panthers primetime games next year. They're not great. Why? Well, because they're non-existent. There are 0 primetime Carolina Panthers football games in the 2024-2025 season. Let me know what you think of that. 844 Studio 4. I want to hear from you. We need to talk about this Carolina Panther game or Carolina Hurricanes game later on tonight as the Hurricanes take on the New York Rangers. Game number 6 of the second round. Hurricanes trail the series 3-2. They will try to become the 10th team in NHL history to force a Game 7 after losing the first 3 of a best-of-7 series. I think this series is going 7. I do. You know, I originally thought that the series was going to go 7 games. The Rangers and the Hurricanes are 2 of the best teams in the NHL. You know, you got Dallas up there. They were the second best team in terms of points percentage, and they are having a wonderful playoff after going to Game 7 with the Vegas Golden Knights. Now they're up 3-2 against the Colorado Avalanche, the Stanley Cup champion from 2 seasons ago. But the Rangers and the Hurricanes, I have been saying it pretty much since I don't know, a month to go in the regular season, back when we knew what the playoff matchups were going to be, and we knew that the Rangers and the Hurricanes were going to meet each other. And I said back then, whoever wins this series is probably going to represent the Eastern Conference in the Stanley Cup. Now, the other series in the East is the Boston Bruins and the Florida Panthers. The Panthers last year went to the Stanley Cup. They lost to Vegas. I don't see them doing it again. Boston has been living on the edge all year, I feel like. We talked about it during the regular season. They were a team that got a lot of points in the series, in the season, based on overtimes and going to overtime. They couldn't win it in regulation. They had one of the lowest regulation wins of every playoff team. So I just don't see the Panthers and I don't see the Bruins beating either the Hurricanes or the Rangers. But this series is going to take a lot out of you if you're the Hurricanes and if you're the New York Rangers, as it was announced earlier today that after some speculation, the New York Ranger forward Chris Kreider will be playing. The Hurricanes, last time that they played the Rangers in the playoffs, went to a Game 7. That Game 7 was in Raleigh. And early in that game, Jacob Trouba injured one of the Carolina Hurricanes players. And that was pretty much it. It kind of took the sail out of the Hurricanes after that. And we know what the result was. 5-2 loss in game number 7. I don't see the same thing happening to Carolina just because, well, number one, I think they're a much tougher team than they were then. And they have the playoff grit now. They have Evgeny Kuznetsov. They have a guy like Dmitry Orlov. They have a Jake Gensel, who, yeah, he's a goal scorer, but that's a tough guy right there. And those are the players that have been coming through for Carolina this playoffs. Obviously, in game number 5, it was Jordan Staal starting the momentum with his big goal. And you look back at how that play developed. It's one little thing. You can't clear the puck down the ice. The defenseman is stuck on the ice, can't change. He's tired. Jordan Staal is fresh, makes a move, and the puck is in the back of the net. It could happen the other way. Just like I said at the beginning of this series, it could very well be 3-0 Carolina when it was 3-0 Rangers. It's the same thing. So game number 6 later on tonight, 7 p.m. This game is going to be on True TV, TNT, and Max. If Carolina is able to force a game 7, it'll be Saturday night in New York. Now, there are some keys to the game that I'm seeing here. I want to let you know what those keys are. Number 1, power play. New York is 0 for 8 with 10 shots on the power play in the past 3 games. This was after it started the series 4-9. Carolina started the series 0-16 before they finally broke through on the power play. But even after they broke through, they couldn't ride the momentum of that. And they didn't have a power play goal in game number 5. Now they were able to get the win. The Sebastian Aho line is going to be one of the keys to this game. Aho, Gensel, Svechnikov. And that line has been noticeable every single game so far. What they need to do now is finish. They've been doing good on that. Svechnikov had quite a few opportunities in game number 3 that he wasn't able to put away. I expect that line to be the best line for the Hurricanes again. It has been since the playoffs started. It's been their best line. And the most important thing, goaltending. I said it was going to be the difference in the series from day one. I don't know if I'm going to say that Freddie Anderson outplayed Igor Shesterkin, but he definitely got the win. Frederik Andersen needs to play Igor Shesterkin if they are going to force a Game 7. Now, that game is going to be Saturday, like I said, tonight. Game number 6 in Raleigh. The Hurricanes are at home starting at 7 o'clock. We are not going to shy away from the NBA, I promise you, but we'll see if we can do that tomorrow. Charlotte FC, yes, the soccer team, Charlotte FC, was in action yesterday as they were able to get a 1-0 victory. Now, a Wednesday game, it's the first one of the season, and this win also gives them a nice little 3-game win streak. 3 consecutive games where Charlotte has shut out their opponent. 2-0 against Portland, 1-0 against Nashville, and yesterday, 1-0 against Chicago. Now, that game was at Soldier Field. Saturday, Charlotte FC will be back in action, and they're going to be here, right here in Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium, taking on the LA Galaxy at 7:30. And as far as those NBA playoffs go, the Boston Celtics are just sitting around waiting to see if the New York Knicks are going to beat the Pacers or if there's going to be a Game 7. The Knicks currently lead the series 3-2. Game 6 tomorrow at 8:30. Denver is up 3-2 against Minnesota. They have a game tonight at 8:30. And then on Saturday, it'll be game number 6 of Dallas and Oklahoma City. The Thunder and the Mavericks Saturday at 8 p.m. So the Celtics are going to be waiting for a little bit, but they ended their series against the Cavaliers, winning that one 4-1. Look, I don't know what to say about this Boston team other than, man, you better get it done this time. How many times are we going to watch the Boston Celtics have a great team, have a great regular season, and then choke it in the playoffs? This core should have had a championship. They should have. They just haven't gotten there yet. I don't know what's going to put them over the edge. I can't even say that if they beat the Knicks or the Pacers in the Eastern Finals, that they will win the championship because I feel like the West is just stronger. But if the Boston Celtics do not win a championship this year, they had just as good of a season as the Hornets. If you don't understand what I mean by that, well, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Let's see. Do we have time to get a This Day in Sports History in the books? Yeah, let's see if we can get one. On this day, in 1945, Ted Williams got an 8-hit game. The thing about that 8-hit game is it was 8 hits in the first game back since he broke his collarbone. Yeah, not that many 8-hit games in the MLB. On this day, 1985, Michael Jordan was named the NBA Rookie of the Year. And that is what I have today for this day in sports history. I'd like to thank everybody for hanging out with me here today. Thank you for the calls, the listen. You are listening to The Scoreboard. We're going to be back tomorrow with updates on your high school sports, updates on how the Carolina Hurricanes do later on tonight. We'll have it all for you. Don't forget to tune in. I'm out of here for the day. The Scoreboard is over. Until tomorrow, have a great night, everyone.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9 100.7 WSIC, Statesville, Morrisville, North Charlotte.
with John Galena back together with putting the keep it right.
We're going to have Tony back on for a full episode. Putting the pieces back together after this break.
USA.
Or 788-3.
Call 8 with Joe Berg. Call 8. Listen on demand with Joe Berg. Call 844-STUDIO-4.
I'll talk about this on the other side of the break. Stay tuned. You're listening to The Scoreboard.
On 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
At the WSIC studio in
WSIC. The Scoreboard with Joe Berg. With Joe Berg. Call
But the Scoreboard.